The impact of the Victorian lockdown. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.heise here and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee. Let's have a look at this article from news.com.au discussing the impact of the Victorian lockdown. Now, I can't imagine anyone is at all surprised that this lockdown is going to have a tremendous effect on our economy throughout the whole country. If we look at some latest data, look at building approvals, guys. It'll be interesting to see how construction work done, which is released in the next couple of days, will affect the economy, particularly Victoria. It's a big construction sector there. So, the latest CBA index shows Victorian lockdown has set back Australia's swift economic recovery. Were we having a swift economic recovery? It seems to be completely unfounded. I thought the fantasy of a V-shaped recovery had completely disappeared, but I guess that's the narrative people are trying to put forward, that it was a swift recovery, we were back, and it's all just the Victorians' fault. And yeah, I can't see that. The unemployment rate, in Queensland, it's one of the highest in the country. At ABS unemployment data, I'll bring that up, is at 7.4. Roy Morgan, unemployment and underemployment is at 23% of the workforce. And that's not counting the huge portion of the workforce that's being supported by JobKeeper. What would it be there if they were jumping out as well? It'd be bloody high. We'd be looking close to 40% or something crazy. I've heard some numbers. I dare not look at them because they scare me too much. Such high unemployment rates. Even though that's above the real unemployment rate, which is in double digits. So let's have a look at this. Renewed restrictions have dented business activity within Australia, pushing back prospects of a swift economic recovery. And remember, there was talk of actually continuing the emergency restrictions for potentially 12 additional months in Victoria. 12 months. V-shaped recovery, everyone. Seems ludicrous. It really does. Commonwealth Bank's latest Purchasing Managers Index has revealed the country's business activity has contracted in August, as Victorian lockdowns and newly imposed state travel restrictions reversed the economic improvement experienced in June and July. Now, if we have a look here, this is from the NAB. This is the latest business confidence. And you can see business conditions have gone up, although they'll probably go down again. But business confidence went back down. Even though conditions were improving, confidence wasn't there. Now, I'm putting it out there. We cannot claim that the economy has recovered. We cannot claim that we're returning back to normalcy until all of the artificial interventions in the market are removed. At the very least, JobKeeper needs to be removed. You can't be propping up businesses and claiming the economy is doing well. The mortgage holidays need to be removed. You can't be allowing people to get out of their responsibilities and claim everything is going well. These are not normal things. There's a reason why we're not actually seeing, or some sectors of the economy aren't actually seeing the impact of the beginning of this recession, because all of these interventions are propping us up. The economy is on life support. So Australia's economy was thrown into recession following the onset of the pandemic in March, which forced the majority of business activity to halt. Well, no, this is the thing. It didn't force the majority of business activity to halt. The government forced the majority of business activity to halt. The government instigated the lockdowns. Look at the symptoms, everyone. Look at the symptoms, the mild ones. You've got people who are asymptomatic. I doubt that it would have shut down entire businesses by itself. Do you think it would have resulted in empty streets like this without the intervention? Be interesting to see. There's even examples made of Sweden, how they took an economic hit. Certainly did. But did they have as much government stimulus? Did they have mountains of debt? I have to look into it. But it was voluntary. There's something a bit nicer about a nation that respects their citizens enough to give them a choice. But I don't see Australia as being like that. Economic conditions began improving in May following the easing of restrictions from the initial lockdown period. At August the 20th, the index position fell 9 points compared with the previous month of 48.8, which is below 50. The 50 point that marks a signal where there's been an improvement or decline in activity. So if you're really 50 is kind of average, neutral. 40 is going down, or there's less confidence. There's less confidence. I'll do another video and we'll go through their Purchasing Managers Index. But it's a series of, what they're trying to do is they're trying to quantify and numerically represent qualitative data. So they have a series of simple questions they can ask purchasing managers to do with what their expectations are of the future, if it's changed relative to, previous orders, previous months. CBA head of Australian economics, Garrett Arid, warned unemployment within Victoria would rise as a result of stage 4 restrictions. The decline in business activity over August is hardly surprising given the lockdown measures in Victoria, he said. The fall in employment is the inevitable consequence of shutting down large parts of the Victorian economy. Mr. Arid noted the contraction in the index was likely only from Victoria's woes, while the other states and territory economies likely expanded over the month. CBA said the downturn had primarily been driven by a slowdown in the service sector as manufacturing output had risen. Export demand continued to decline for the 7th month in a row due to the dampening of global consumption sparked by the pandemic. Despite the setback, optimism in both the services and manufacturing sectors has improved, with businesses expected full recovery in the next 12 months. Well, it's hopium. What do you think? Do you think a full recovery in 12 months is foreseeable? How are you planning? How are you making your purchase decisions? That's the real question. If consumer confidence is at that level, if consumers think that it'll improve in 12 months' time, if people are going to be, if people are going to spend with that in mind, or if people are saving rates at the highest it's ever been, which is fantastic, but not Australian. Not Australian. We're a nation of spenders, afterpayers. Quick, now, material reward. He said there remained concerns about the long-term impacts the virus would have on Australia's economic activity. Encouragingly, firms collectively retain an optimistic view of the outlook despite the setback in Victoria, he said. Ongoing fiscal support for households and businesses remained critical to ensuring the optimism is not misplaced. Well, okay, that ongoing fiscal support, that's not a recovery. That's future spending, future work brought back to now, artificially injected into the economy to prop it up. Here's the thing. In a real free market economy, there needs to be some creative destruction. There needs to be some recession. Now, the problem is because we've got such an economy, such interventions, we've got insanely low cash rates, artificially cheap access to money. You get these bubbles formed. And this is from, I'll bring up the Candlon effect. So the Candlon effect refers to the change in relative prices resulting from a change in money supply. The change in relative prices occurs because the change in money supply has a specific injection point and therefore a specific flow path through the economy. Now, let me put a question to you. Where do you think the injection point for a lot of the money supply or a lot of money that's created in Australia is? Where do you think? I'll give you a hint. I'll just bring up one chart here that I'll give you a hint. And we're property obsessed, everyone. There's more shows coming on about the block. I will be honest, I don't watch any of these block shows or any of these things. I can't stand it. It feels like work. And it feels like people making stupid mistakes when I'm watching it. So I have never watched one. I think I probably started and, at my mother's house because she had it on, I couldn't stand it. We're property obsessed. There's no innovation in other parts of our economy. Australia has less economic complexity than New Zealand, everyone. Less economic complexity than New Zealand. We dig up stuff, we serve coffees to each other, and we sell houses. That's Australia. This is the injection point for a whole lot of money. Every time you go and get a mortgage, that money's created out of nowhere, it inflates the prices, we get a bubble. And because money is artificially cheap, the bubble is artificially high. And then, the citizens of this good nation, the younger generations, have a challenge to even scrape together enough to get into a home. Quality of life slowly grows down. Sure, our GDP is going up, but per capita it's heading down. So what do you all think, everyone? What do you think? Do you think it'll all improve in 12 months' time? Perhaps if the government got out of the way. But I can't see that happening. As always, let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and want to support the content I create here, there are a few ways you can. You can join the channel on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us using our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or Kucoin. You can buy a merch from HeiseSays, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Take care, have a great day. I will see you all next time.